This here is the Black Sea just off the southern coast of Ukraine, which of course makes these troubled waters. It is from the Black Sea that the Russians have been launching wave after wave of missile attacks into Ukraine. And just across these waters, a short stretch away, lies Crimea that Russia annexed in 2014. It was very much a part of Ukraine until then. Ukraine's belief is that it must now recapture Crimea if it really is to emerge victorious from this war. That is going to be a hard haul. The Russians are quite firmly and strongly entrenched in Crimea, and the Russians are not about to give that up in a hurry. The Russians underlined that with the reopening of all 4 lanes of the Crimea bridge that links Russian mainland with the Crimean peninsula. The bridge suffered extensive damage in a bombing attack on the morning of October the 8th last year. The Russians hit back with a heavy missile attack right across Ukraine 2 days later. Russian engineers were brought in to work round the clock to repair the bridge, and that repair was completed just before the anniversary of the invasion this year. Crimea was quite the favored home of the old elite of the Soviet Politburo. The Soviets endured a long siege of Sevastopol in the Second World War in 1942. The collapse of the Soviet Union saw Crimea going to Ukraine, but with an arrangement for the Russian Black Sea Fleet to be based in Sevastopol. Russian forces invaded the peninsula in early 2014 and declared it a part of Russia on March the 18th of that year. Zelensky now says the war will end when Ukraine takes Crimea back. The Russians are paying a heavy price for holding on to Crimea. Memorials have come up in Sevastopol to the many Russian soldiers who have died in this war that Russia calls a special military operation. But the Russians are not about to let go of Crimea in a hurry. Crimea has long been sought by the Russian elite. This has led to wars. We had the ethnic cleansing of the local Tatars by Stalin in the Second World War, and then going back to the mid-19th century when we had the first Crimea War, when the Russians were dislodged. We could now be looking at a third Crimean War that could be more closely and more fiercely fought than any Crimean War before.